Hello, everyone, and welcome to Missions Moments. This week, I spent some time after reading a story online about a group of homeless in Bangor that had been displaced from their traditional shelter and sheltering resources due to the coronavirus, and were living in a group of tents and tarps underneath the 395 bridge in Bangor. And of course, small tent cities and small settlements of homeless have been in the Bangor area for many years, but it's been a growing problem across the U.S. And in fact, I think it's estimated around, I don't know, like 500,000 people are homeless in this country. And this is not just, people who, choose to be there. There is, I think, estimated about 26% of all homeless suffer from some form of severe mental disorder. And a lot of us have mental disorders, but they're treated medically just like anything else. And we're talking about people who are, suffering from disorders who are untreated. In many cases, paranoid schizophrenia or different types of depressions and so on and so forth. Over 35% in the U.S. are estimated to have some form of alcohol or drug addiction that they're suffering from. And again, for those who say, well, they could get off that, they chose to be there. I've said all these things, the homeless choose to be homeless and blah, 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 blah. And I realized that I was just totally wrong. There are those cases, but I think they're few and far between. Look at the amount of veterans that are homeless in this country right now. Look at the amount of veterans that are homeless in Maine, the homeless in our area. The homeless population is a complicated problem in America, and it's one that I've frankly ignored for the most part over the years. I mean, I worked as a paramedic in the Bangor area, and back then there were homeless. And to be honest with you, being in public safety, to call out 2 a.m. because Frank, who we knew, who we've seen many times, or whoever it was in the street, passed out or something, and we had to go and deal with them. And to be honest with you, I was young and certainly a lot more self-centered, and I was just ticked off. And I understand the frustration from public servants who have to deal with this problem every day, day in and day out, and it just seems to be an ongoing problem for those who have to deal with it, on the street. But it is a problem, and it's a growing problem. It's a problem that we all have to deal with, because something, and particularly when you have an economy that's shut down the way it is right now, you have no idea who is going to end up on that street. It could be you, it could be me. God help us. But it could be, and it could be someone we know. I went and delivered, a handful of tents, tarps, cook stoves, wool socks, boots, just a small token. We're still collecting stuff, and we're going to continue collecting stuff. And if you folks have anything at your homes that you're not using, or you can make a donation or something, let me know. I'm going to keep doing this for now, because these folks are displaced. And this is outside of the norm. I mean, we're dealing with a COVID quarantine situation. So those resources that are normally available to this population are not available the way that it has been. They don't have shelter, and they need it. These are human beings. They need to be taken care of. And frankly, I've gotten no response from the city to find out what their long-term plan is if, God forbid, this epidemic or pandemic, or whatever you want to call it, if this crisis goes on for more than a month, or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months, they have to have a plan. We have a responsibility to take care of these folks, and we as a church do too, and no more than any other human being. Jesus, today's Palm Sunday, and Jesus spoke. I mean, he taught for his entire ministry, and spent a lot of time talking about caring for the needy, for caring for the poor, for the downtrodden, for the widows, for the homeless. And he was the son of God. He is an important dude, right? He is the risen Messiah. We celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ this time of the year, because he saved us all. And he didn't just save those of us who have a home, those of us who have an income, those of us who take financial responsibility for our day-to-day routine on this earth. He gave his life for every single person. Yesterday, I was pulling in to just see for myself the group of tents that have been set up down underneath the 395 bridge in Bangor. And while I was there, Bangor PD were cleaning up, and it turns out that a young lady by the name of Valerie, who's from the area, had died that morning. We don't know what she died from. Some can assume, well, she probably was an addict and she probably died of addiction. She could have died from exposure. She could have died from illness. Who knows? Does it really matter what she died of? She died in a cold tent down by the river in Bangor by herself, not having anyone, no family. The only people she had was the people that were there caring for her. I have two friends that know her personally, grew up with her. She was a young lady, just suffering like the rest of us in this world. I don't know whether she knew Jesus Christ, but I know that this isn't okay, all right? We serve the God, the holy, mighty God. Our God is huge. Our God is capable of doing amazing things, things we can't fathom. If we serve him and we're going to be followers of Christ, then we can help out. We may not be called to go out and actually counsel with these people or meet with these folks. Maybe this isn't even our ministry, but the point is we are called to serve, and we're going to serve, and we're going to pray, and we're going to ask for resources to come in, and we're going to ask for mental health counselors to come in, and we're going to ask for God to give us wisdom and knowledge, and create programs to help these folks get off their addiction or get off the street, cleaned up in whichever ways they need to be, and help them with resumes, and help them with job applications, and help them with resources so that they can get and become a member of society where they can have dignity and respect. I was talking to one of the workers yesterday, and this was so simple. He said, love is not complicated. And he was talking about the fact that just going up and looking people in the eyes and just speaking to them and talking with them, showing them dignity and respect by just caring. They know people aren't stupid, okay? And they know when people are fake. To go and drop off a few things like I did yesterday, um, that's a great, and those resources are desperately needed, and that's fine. But long term, that is not really showing love. It's showing care. It's sterile care. What does God have in store for us next? What is he calling us to do? Is he calling us to serve in a deeper fashion the homeless? It may be the homeless. Maybe it'll be another group. I don't know. The point is, for me, and I'm only speaking for me here, when God wakes me up in the early hours of the morning and I can't get to sleep and I have something on my mind and I'm not sure whether God is speaking to my heart or not, I'm just going to assume that he is. And I'm going to follow through and just continue to seek and pray, and just do what seems right at the time until he directs me in a different way. I've never worked with the homeless before. Again, I was a paramedic for many, many years, and I dealt with the homeless, but I've never actually done any direct work with them. I don't know what I'm doing, and I will probably seek some counsel from others, but I'm going to at least continue to try to help at least now, and call on friends and family and neighbors and strangers to bring resources to the table, so that these folks can be helped at least during this crisis until, whether it is the city, the county, or the federal government, or whoever it is that's going to bring resources and help these folks get out of the vicious cycle that they're in, and get them off the streets, and get them shelter, and get them food, and get them clothing, and give them a long-term solution to get out of whatever situation they're in. And so that's what we're going to do, and at least that's what I'm going to do. And I just ask your prayers and your support. And if you can help in any way, or you feel called, the Lord leads you to do something, then step up, do it, be obedient, whether you're comfortable or not. Because I'm not comfortable with this. This is not my comfort zone at all. But I'm going to do where God leads, and I pray that you all will too. I thank you for your prayers. I thank you for your blessings, and happy Palm Sunday. And let's just celebrate the Messiah and his resurrection and his rise above sin for us all, the entire world.